All right, welcome back to the Exertis Almo Pro AV podcast. This is the place where you go to learn new things, find out about great technologies, and meet wonderful people. All right, we're going to kick it off today. We got a really busy show. I didn't bring in one guest. We brought in 3 guests because we figured, you know what? Let's make this a party. So we've got a great show today. We're going to talk with some folks from LG, some of the inside team at Almo, and we're just going to put together a really fun run today. We're also going to play a little game. So we're going to mix it up. This is going to be a lot of good. So let's kick this off by introducing everybody on the panel today. Jordan, bring us into the full spread. We're going to start with Michael. Introduce yourself and tell us who you are and what you do.
Yes, hello. It's a pleasure. Thank you again for letting us be a part of this show. So my name is Michael Ha. I'm with LG B2B Business Solutions Division. I've been with LG for 12 years. I manage and lead the QSR and retail team. So you may ask, what does QSR stand for? It's quick service restaurants. So that is the latest kind of industry right now that is just populating and growing. So it's a pleasure to be here.
Nice having you here. All right, David, over to you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dave Borland. I'm also with LG B2B Electronics, and I'm a specialist in the QSR restaurant space. Been doing this for some 25 years. Really enjoy being here with you guys today. Thank you.
And last but not least, Jennifer, join us.
My name is Jennifer Fisher, and I'm with Exertis Almo as the LG Commercial Business Development Manager. And I've been at it with them for about 6 months. But I've been with Exertis Almo for 11 years and in the business for about 25, either as a dealer or distributor.
Nice. Well, welcome to the party nonetheless. Everybody's here. All right, we got a lot to talk about today. And obviously, Jennifer and everybody sort of cued in already is, one of the topics today is QSR. And as Michael put it, that is quick serve restaurants. And there's obviously, as you mentioned, Michael, there's an explosion in quick service restaurants. I mean, if you're, whether you're a Chick-fil-A fan, an In-N-Out fan on the West Coast, no matter where you go, there is phenomenal quick service restaurants everywhere. I'm in the South, so I cannot tell you how many chicken places are close to me. But, that is obviously quick service restaurants are a big staple of not just life in general, but believe it or not, technology as well. And this is one of these places where we sort of have seen technology get not only adopted, but tested. And we were talking earlier, there was a great story around 2014, 2015, where Wendy's started playing with digital signage inside their storefronts and were able to utilize digital signage to show items to people that they may not be ordering as much. And Wendy's really started playing with the idea that they could put certain low performing items on the screens, in the, not just the kiosks. At this time, they didn't even have kiosks. They were just some digital signage panels on the wall, but utilizing that to sell food items that were underperforming and how it was able to increase sales. So, a good 10 years ago, we saw quick service restaurants really start to adopt these new technologies. And now we're seeing some really interesting that LG is doing with kiosks and how they're, sort of adopting this. So we're going to get deep into that. But before we go there, let's play a game. Let's do a little hot or not. Jordan, you've got the con. The use of AI robotic servers in fast food restaurants will become the norm within the next 5 years. Hot or not, everybody? Put in your answers. All right, all the answers are in. It looks like everybody agrees. This one's hot, and I do actually, because it's kind of funny if you watch TikTok or any of the the video sharing sites. There's some great videos of these little robot R2D2s that bring food and drink out to people. That's just on the delivery side, let alone on the ordering side. I mean, what else are you all seeing out there? Why do you think this is hot?
I think everything we see on AI is hot, Nick, and we're still trying to sort through where that's going to take us in the QSR environment, as well as many other businesses. But we know that our restaurants want to adapt to technology that is solid and is going to improve their business case.
Absolutely. All right, Jordan, let's jump to the next one. Automated point of sale systems will eventually replace human cashiers in most QSRs or quick service restaurants. Hot or cold? All right, looks like the answers are pouring in.
Did I not submit? I submitted. It went away from the write your idea screen. There we go. Second time's the charm.
All right, looks like the answers are in. And again, everybody agrees this is hot. And I think it's, it's kind of funny because in the question it says eventually. I'm seeing this in a lot of places already where, like you walk into your Steak and Shake and there is nobody. It's just a bunch of kiosks. What are you seeing out there, team?
Yeah, I think, as you mentioned, it's going to be something that's going to be adopted here in the US. Worldwide, the kiosk is already something that is a part of their life. So more and more as the kiosk and automated POS systems, and it's going to allow the businesses to actually upsell some items on a regular 100% basis, where they're going to constantly ask you, like, do you want a dessert with that, or do you want another drink with that? So I think it's just the way with the future.
100% agree with Michael. Self-order kiosks are not shy about upsell. They do it every time.
Yep. No, that is true. They are not shy. They do what they're told. that's the or what they're programmed for. The other side of that, and I think this is kind of referencing back to Wendy's, is about the ability to also show you what you're ordering. And that is just, remember, we as humans, we eat with our eyes first. And so being able to see an item, see that milkshake, see those extra add-on items, that entices us just as much as seeing the text of, do you want to add this on? And so the ability to do that with these kiosks is partial to helping, bring that price point up per person.
The other aspect of that too, Nick, is restaurants have, thousands of ingredients, and not all of them are typically offered cheese, bacon, with a particular item. With this type of solution, you can dig deep into carrots or croutons or whatever else you might want on that burger that's still from the list of food items that are in that store.
A crouton burger is still my favorite burger. I mean, that is the best.
And with the whole AI, I think AI now is coming to where it's thinking for us in some level. And sometimes when we forget, we forget to order a fry or dessert, but then it'll always remind you, hey, you don't want a fry with that? It's like, oh, that's right, I want a fry with that. And then we're automatically ordering fries or dessert. So that's why I think AI is just going to be more integrated into our daily lives every day into QSR business.
Well, and if you think of things like near field technology and Bluetooth beaconing and stuff like that, how about walking up to a kiosk and it already knowing who you are? And, I saw a couple articles recently where people were freaked out because they pulled up to, I think it was a McDonald's or something like that. And it said, welcome, Jennifer. Right. And it was because she had placed her order in advance and the app knew she was there, retrieved her order, pulled it up on the screen, and it freaked her out. She was like, oh my gosh, it knows, like, it's following me. And I'm like, no, it's utilizing the technology to speed the process up, and that was amazing to be able to tie the app to the kiosk and pull it all together.
Nick, that takes us back in time to the point where servers remembered who we were when we came in every week. So it's not that different than the human touch.
Yep.
Absolutely. Just a slightly different human. All right, let's jump into the next question. Here we go. Implementing AI-powered recommendations based on customers' past orders will improve the overall customer experience in QSRs, hot or cold.
I love it when I go into Papa Murphy's and they remember my pizza the way I like it, and I can just hit it, pay for it, walk in and get it, and go. I don't have to reconfigure it every time.
And I think that's exactly it. It's like, it's remembering your order. And then as, Michael brought up earlier, the ability to not just remember, to make recommendations. Maybe you did forget the fries and you always order the fries. Right. And so that AI there and that system be able to remind you, hey, you normally get this. Is that person not here today?
Yeah.
Are you on a diet?
If you think about even us here on the call, right? So when we go into, any one of the restaurants, quick service, how much do you really deviate from your orders? You know what you want, which sandwich, which drink, which side drink or side item. So the drive-through, the most two important points is speed and accuracy. So you get speed as soon as you drive up, and you have mentioned this, Nick, if it's RFID and on your phone or Bluetooth enabled, as soon as it pops up, it's like, hey, do you want to order your last order, right? Yeah. So you got your sandwich, you got your side drink, and or your side item and your drink. So boom, it pops on. It's like, yeah, I want that again. So now you got speed, and then they're already making that item for you. So that's accuracy. So the customer experience is phenomenal every time you pull up in that drive-through.
Absolutely. And I think that customer experience of getting the order, getting your order right once you've got it sort of dialed in. I mean, you think about your average Chipotle user where you got 20 different choices, on what once you dial it in, you don't want to mess that up again, right? So knowing that it can be recalled and replicated, that's beautiful.
I have a question for David, dealing with some of these large QSRs out there. Are you seeing that it's a big cost savings for these companies implementing some of this as far as accuracy and consistency and, just cost savings with people?
Well, the primary metrics, as Michael pointed out, are speed of service and accuracy. So anything that goes into that equation, and certainly having an order, earmarked in advance is going to speed up service. And that's exactly what the operator wants. Consumers will, in a drive-through, drive down the block if they see a long line at the store of their first choice. They'll take their second choice. So reducing that line and making it look attractive, speed of service is number one.
Okay.
All right, let's jump into the next question, because this takes it from the front of the house to the back of the house. Robotic kitchen assistants will become commonplace in high volume restaurants, hot or cold? Answers are pouring in quickly. All right, all the answers are in. And once again, oh, wait a second. Did I see a not hot on there?
I put a not sure because I'm going to listen to the experts.
Not sure. Okay, fair enough.
I'm here to learn too.
Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect. So I think this one's interesting because, Flippy, if you're not familiar with him, is a burger flipping robot. And then the follow-up to Flippy was a fry flipping robot. Consistency every time, which goes back to that, the order is perfect, the burgers are perfect, the fries are perfect, less waste hitting the. Now I don't know how well it's going to keep up with different styles of customers' orders, right? Maybe a medium rare versus medium, but ideally for a high volume restaurant, I think this could make a massive impact to them.
Yeah, the core element of your question, high volume restaurants, was the catalyst for me going hot, Nick. I think there's going to be slower adoption with smaller restaurant groups, single store operators, perhaps even in C&D counties where labor can be a lot cheaper and that investment in robotics a lot higher. So the adoption is going to come from high volume.
Yeah, you hit it. I mean, it's that it's that investment. The investment's the hardest part to get into. I mean, these are not cheap robots right now. But, I mean, we're seeing, just look at rocket launching right now. I mean, the new engines they're building for the rockets, they're 3D printing, which is bringing that total cost down immensely. So given time, these robots will come down as well.
And I was speaking to, I want to give a shout out to our senior manager that oversees our robotics sales team. His name is Tom Bingham. And I had a very interesting conversation with Tom the other day, and he brought up a really good point. Robots are not here to replace humans, where humans are always afraid of that they're going to be losing their jobs. It's taking the robotics, whether it's our ServeBot, and allocating that human resource at the restaurant to do more important tasks, right, that are more customer facing, where it's the customer experience. So you're just reallocating and redelegating. You're having the robots do the kind of the menial, everyday, hard labor type of job, but you're taking the human and then telling them to go and see how they can make it better with the customer, interact with them, speak with them, that human touch. I thought that was a very good point, right? It's not you're replacing that human being, but you're just reallocating their time and their responsibility because that's more important at the restaurant.
And there is one other job that opens up in that opportunity that, we don't always think of is when you have robots in a facility, you need a mechanic. And it's like, what restaurant has ever had to hire a mechanic more than to haul away a car that wouldn't start? So that, I think that changes the concept a little bit, because as we see these technologies start to become widely adopted, there will be new roles in there, right? New jobs that were previously needed or didn't have as many, uses. So let's do one more. I'll say, go ahead.
Well, Nick, you make a good point. Michael and I just visited the University of Illinois, Chicago, where they have some 50 robot delivery devices running around the campus to different buildings and things. And when those devices break, they have a team of interns that get credit for that activity that are not on the payroll. So a very good model being performed there at University of Illinois, Chicago.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
That's amazing.
All right, let's do one more before we jump into the other parts. All right, here, this is going to be a tougher one. The use of facial recognition technology in QSRs to personalize the customer experience is a positive development. Hot or not? Okay, I thought, coming back into this, I thought I was going to be a contrarian on this one. It looks like I'm not alone. We're not feeling super hot about facial recognition in this group. Why?
I feel invaded, and I've talked to other people because I just got off a cruise ship a couple weeks ago in Mexico and came back into the US and brought my bag with me off the boat. And all I did was they scanned my eyes, didn't look at my passport. They said, "Have a nice day. Welcome to the US." And I thought, creepy.
So for you, it's the coldness of that lack of human interaction or lack of verification, right?
Thought of, well, what else do they know about me?
Yeah.
And where did they get my eye scan? I didn't recall saying, yes, this is how I'd like to do this.
Yeah, it was interesting. I was on a Delta flight recently in which they had switched over to facial recognition. And I thought to myself, I do not actually remember giving them a picture of me to verify. So I was thinking about racking my brain going, where in the world did they get it? Well, it's not hard to get a photo of me, but how did they verify it was me effectively, other than, they must have pulled it from my passport record. I just thought that was really interesting. It's like, I walk up to Delta and they're like, look here, click, you're in, and I'm like, we're really seeing these. And I think a lot of people feel that invasive nature of those times like this where we feel like we've lost control of our image or lost control of what's happening with our data. But then on the other hand, walking up to my front door and it unlocks because it sees me, or my phone. There's all these little moments where we utilize it and it feels really good to us because it's made our life easier. It's made things simpler, right? I walk up and the Starbucks knows me and tells the barista my name before I get there. I feel welcome, even though I know the AI did the work for me. But there's still a little bit of the heebie-jeebies that we get in the background of giving over our data for a little bit of convenience.
Nick, I think the root element here is permission. Privacy and permission, they go hand in hand. And if I put my order into my phone and I want to use the convenience of that, I'm permissioning that business to do that. But facial recognition without permission is a privacy invasion.
Yeah. I can agree with that. And I think that's the struggle that we have, is that we don't always realize we're giving up our permission and in lieu of our privacy, because it's in the T's and C's, and everybody's got them. And I know they're important, but nobody bothers to take the time to read them.
I think once society realizes the ease and how it makes our life more simpler, then that permission, I think, automatically comes, right? Because
Yep.
I think, Nick, you brought up a good point. Like, even my phone now, it's like I don't even have to type in a password. I just facial recognition. It's so much easier,
Yeah.
right? So
I have too many pins in my life, right? I don't need one more, effectively. So it's, if we can simplify down a little bit in ways that still feel like they're under our control, right? And that's one of those environments where I feel like I could turn it off, but I can't turn Delta off. All right, let's jump, now that everybody's kind of warmed up, let's jump over into the slide deck, because it wouldn't be a presentation if we didn't show off some slides. Jordan's going to roll them up. Obviously, today we're talking about QSR. That is the big story of the day. Now, once again, QSR, quick service restaurant. That's sort of like that where we're discussing here your fast food restaurants, your medium speed restaurants, your restaurants that are changing the experience for the customer by either using digital signage, putting in kiosks, other ways to interact with the customer that not only speed up the process, but create a different experience. And so jump in at any point as we talk about this. There's some big trends here that are happening, and the great number here is 257 billion was the quick service and fast food market size in 2019. So that's just 2019. And, the growth on this is pretty large every year. I think we're saying here over 5% a year. In some of the changes, as we're talking about, mobile ordering apps, self-ordering kiosks, the drive-through delivery. There was an interesting story recently where drive-through, the person taking your order was not actually in the building. They were working from home and then delivering those orders back into the store. So we're seeing a big, I never thought work from home would be a thing I would hear about in a restaurant industry, but apparently they found a way. And so this market is adjusting and changing, and we're seeing, and especially when I look at my kids, if we look at the generation today, they don't like to look each other in the eyes and have conversations, but they'll happily jump on an app and order some food, right? And they don't want to call the pizza guy, but they'll order it from an app. So I think these generations, as they come forward, are really going to push this forward even faster, right? This adoption of these technologies as, they find the ways that they like to interact with their favorite food service.
100% agree with you, Nick. The other thing that our generations are doing less of is cooking at home, and that's clearly driving more traffic into more restaurant concepts, more restaurant styles, and it's the newer concepts, I believe, that drive technology probably faster than the behemoths, because they're more nimble and they can write it into their business plan from the start. And every new franchise has to adopt to a technology package that makes that brand, have more efficiency than, say, an older brand.
Now, I thought coming out of the pandemic, people would be cooking more at home since they had no choice for so long. It's interesting that, it's kind of reverse, or maybe it's just that they were all cooped up for so long. Now they want to go out, right? And
or their cooking is not as good as the restaurant food.
That's probably fair. Yeah, for sure. So let's jump into outdoor digital signage. As we mentioned, this ability to order from an app and have it show up at the kiosk. What's driving right now on the outside is there's a massive explosion of upgrades on those kiosks, moving from a static display to the old pegboards where you had your menu up to, I've seen places where it's a piece of paper that changes as the menu. Now we're moving to digital signage that is changing in the moment, specials that happen right now while you're sitting here versus are static all day. The menu can change constantly. And then, of course, that experience that you have at the kiosk. Somebody mentioned earlier the understanding that what you ordered is what they put into the computer. And with digital signage, we can now see that, right? Hey, did you get my order right? Please look at the screen and tell me, right? So I think there's a lot of adoption and change in how digital signage is being used just in the drive-through. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think you just hit it on the head. Is even when we go to a grocery store, when we see that the display is showing each item that we're paying for, what item and how much it costs, there is a sense of peace and there's a sense of trust that we're not being overcharged. I think it's the same idea as you go through the drive-through and you see the order confirmation unit, which we call OCU, and you see that each item that you order, you know how much it's going to cost, and the accuracy that what you're ordering is all being displayed. That is definitely a benefit of the being digital. And then the second item of being digital is that you can put up any type of promotional items that always kind of stimulates the mind of, hey, do you want, our newest, latest LTO item, which is limited time offering of a chicken sandwich or a burger or whatever it may be, that you're always going to constantly stimulate our minds opposed to just being something static. So yeah, there's so many different ways to use digital, and that is just going to continue to grow, and that's going to continue to be the way with the future of QSR. Static, when you have static there, the other thing is that it just seems very old. That menu board is just antiquated. They're not to the times. And as Dave mentioned, the millennials, the younger generation, are really looking for technology.
Yeah, they're gravitating to what speaks to them, right? Mm-hmm. And how they want to interact.
Can you tell me if the addition of digital outdoor menu boards has done an uptick in the total value of the order? I mean, are people adding on more, doing it that way?
So, we perceive that there's an upsell. Now, the brands that we work with, because that is confidential information, it's really hard to get data out of them. But if they're ordering digital menu boards, we know that they see an upsell and the sales volume and the sales revenue has increased, because that's what they are mandating for some of these brands to go digital, because they see that there is an increase in revenue. So what the percentage is, we don't really know exactly the percentages.
We do know there's investment, though. The investment was stymied due to the pandemic, and restaurants, being essential businesses, kept their drive-throughs open, but really had to adopt, day to day with the different elements of CDC requirements and what the pandemic was doing. And there was no room for investment, no time, and no long-term strategy. Coming out of pandemic and seeing what it did for the drive-through, because it definitely made a significant impact on drive-throughs, not just with consumers, but with the third-party delivery services such as DoorDash and Uber Eats. Now you've got that much more volume coming to the store for those pickups. So the investment we are seeing is significant in drive-through technology.
Yeah, it's interesting when you talk about DoorDash and those. There was an article I picked up a while ago that was a restaurant that didn't have a drive-through or a walk-up. It was only for DoorDash delivery, and it was one of the fast food chains that had built this as a standalone operation to funnel all of their mobile orders through and take that off of the backs of their core restaurants, where they could just focus on the in-house customers. And I think
much like a ghost kitchen, but with delivery people coming in. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So it's interesting how that's changed and how that's going. Digital signage, you kind of tie this back into the channel business. I think there's an opportunity, if we look at that last slide, of not just to look at new openings, because as this model is growing, we're seeing new chains that are kind of spreading across the country. I mean, I got super excited. I just heard In-N-Out is coming to the East Coast. And so it's like my world is changing, because it's the one thing I miss. I mean, the one thing, well, two, I miss Jordan. But, so I miss having access to some of those creature comforts. So there's this opportunity for growth with new establishments, but also to upgrade the existing. Right. And so kind of talking here about going back to those existing partners and upgrading them to these two new technologies, giving them access to it. And the beautiful part about all this technology is come to a price point where it's affordable even to those mom and pop stores, those single owner operators, those places that in the past this would have only been a chain location or a flagship store. These technologies are becoming more and more available. How do you see that, LG, how you're pressing that down to locations that probably wouldn't have been able to buy into this before?
Yeah, so David's been in the industry longer than I have. I've been in this industry for about 12, 13 years now. But...
Wow, way to throw him under the bus, Michael.
Well, I can tell you in the last 5 to 6 years, the technology, the innovation, and the price point, like any technology, right? When it's first launched, it starts out very high, but as technology gets better, the price point still comes down, but the technology is still getting better. I remember when we did this, I mean, it was worth air conditioning and it was a lot of money to keep that digital outdoor panel cool. But now LG has perfected the technology where you don't need the air conditioner. It's going to cost you an additional $400 or $500 just for that air conditioner to keep that digital signage, cool. But LG has perfected, once again, a technology where 49 or 55 inch is reasonable enough where it makes sense because it's almost the same cost of going static now. So why wouldn't you go digital, right? And so once again, the price point, as you mentioned, Nick, is not just for the big enterprises, but it's for the regional, small, medium-sized businesses where they can utilize digital menu boards in their drive-thru.
Well, there's an interesting statistic out there. Let me just jump over you for a second, Jennifer, which is, most of these large chains are independently owned and operated. They're franchises. Mm-hmm. While it's a giant McDonald's as a corporation doesn't own every store, right? And so every one of these businesses are small business operations, right? That can't afford, necessarily the latest and greatest. But I think these technologies are hitting a point where they can't afford not to jump in on this technology.
A lot of the POS systems out there incorporate digital signage these days, don't they, Michael? So
yes.
Yeah, a smaller company can go ahead and integrate either indoor menu boards or outdoor signage.
Right. So the POS systems and the digital menu boards are tied together. So the price changes can be made directly from the POS. You can take the order from the POS. So there is a lot of integration between the POS and the digital menu boards in the drive-thru. So yes, you are definitely correct. That's definitely another benefit.
David?
Well, I thought I'd post up a little history here, being noted for my long time in the industry. But as I look back on digital signage in the drive-thru, it's really the order confirmation system which many chains use different names, COD, OCB. That put digital in the drive-through, and it proved out the two key metrics of speed of service and accuracy. And then it started the process of upsell and merchandising LTOs and things like that. So once that was proven technology and became a brand standard, we evolved from probably 1998 when Jack in the Box adopted that as the first big chain to today when every store has one.
So what you're really saying is those original OCBs were designed for people with OCD.
Perhaps.
Perhaps it is. Perhaps it is. All right. That was my mobile funny for the day. All right. So let's talk about what's new for LG in this space.
We really want to bring hardware that really makes the industry, our end users, our partners, solution as a turnkey solution to bring solutions that can make their life easier. So we have a 22-inch high bright for the order confirmation unit. We also have a 4955 for the drive-through. So when you look at our technology, the power savings, the brightness, the replaceable glass, all of these resonate with, as you mentioned, Nick, with the small franchisee owners, because ultimately each franchisee, whether it's a big corporation, they're the owners that own anywhere from 1 to 10 locations. So for them, every dollar counts. So when LG can bring a technology that is cost savings on the operations side, cost savings on replacement, or cost savings on longevity of the product, it really helps them to run their business more effectively and more efficiently.
Yeah, I'd echo that, Michael. You make a great point on the replaceability of our glass. That's a unique feature that LG offers. And when operators hear that, it does resonate with them because they know accidents happen in the drive-through. Cars are sloppy driving through. Drivers aren't paying attention. They're on their phone, and they're going to get hit. And that's the one asset that they really can't protect and lock up at night. It's out there. And so LG offers a 5-year white glove program where we have techs that would go out and replace that glass at a fraction of the cost of a new unit.
Nice.
That also helps out our dealer integrators as far as, not having to do another truck run on something like that, which is a big deal for our customers.
And especially for the dealers integrators, where it's like, who do you trust more, right? You really want to go back to the manufacturer, right? Because you're looking for that, to put it back the way it was. And, and that's one thing from back when I was a dealer, is like, I would prefer if the manufacturer rolled truck than me, right? To ensure that I get that customer back to tip-top shape. So it's a good partnership to have. All right. So this is the LG Self-ordering Kiosk. Team, tell me about this.
This is a brand new unit that was just introduced, and we've got it at our trade shows, the E4 events around the country. And it's a 27-inch screen, 24/7. It's got an integrated printer, card reader, communications, and it is available to ship now. And we also have content partners both in-house and with other partners in the industry that are used to doing self-ordering kiosk content, available to assist with what you're doing at your restaurant. So it's definitely customizable and definitely low cost to use. So give us a call.
Love it. I mean, so this is that tool that really gives that restaurant the ability to jump right into the kiosking, right? And have
it's ADA compliant, which is nice.
Good, very good.
I'll put in a small plug if I can. We're going to have this
Please.
in the LG booth at the National Restaurant Show in Chicago about mid-May. If you come to the LG booth, we'll certainly be happy to provide a demonstration.
And will it do my taxes?
Not yet. Next year.
Not yet. No, it's really a beautiful box. And I think, going back to some of those smaller stores, those independent restaurants, right? Finding the technology is sometimes the hardest part. Knowing where to go, what to look for, and to know that you can go to a big partner like LG, who you've trusted in your home, you've trusted on your wall, and now you can trust in your restaurant, right?
These are really reasonably priced, very reasonably priced.
So this is a great case study on taco time. Another thing I missed from being out in the West. David, I'm told you've got some interesting history on this one. Tell us what went on here.
Well, Taco Time is an early mover in the space. They started looking at this technology ahead of the pandemic, kind of had to pause it as most did. But coming out, they made an initial and immediate investment in new store drive-throughs going to double lane. This reduces that stacking so that from the street, you don't see that restaurant looks too full to pull into, but it also allows the cashier staff to queue vehicles and take 2 orders at once. So Taco Time, quite the innovator in the space.
The dual queuing, I think that's one of the biggest changes in drive-throughs that I think everybody should be doing. I mean, just the ability to move more people and get their order faster, because that's always the hardest part being in a restaurant. We can't do anything until we get your order. That's brilliant. All right, let's jump into the next one. I think there's a little bit here about some train stations. So this is moving a little bit away from QSR, but still talking about the LG displays, the high brightness displays, and how they can be used out in a public space. Anybody want to jump in?
Yeah, so one thing to point out here, LG, once again, our technology and our and design, the difference is we use something called conformal coating. The reason that is really important there for that image in the subway station, as we know, in the train station and subways, there's a lot of brake dust. So all that dust tends to go inside the monitor, but we use a technology called conformal coating, which protects the inner power supply motherboard. It's like a silicone spray that goes over on the inside of the components. It protects it from humidity, moisture, and dust. But really, once again, the longevity of the product from the investment standpoint from the end user. So yeah, I mean, it's not just for QSR, it's anything outdoor related that the LG 49 XC4F and the 55 XC4F is ready to go straight out of the box, no additional heating or cooling needed.
You know, this is an interesting piece because I've argued with customers for years who want to run down to their local Best Buy and grab a TV off the shelf, slap it on a wall, and say, "I did it right. Why did I need to do anything other?" And it's oftentimes that those TVs are designed to sit in a house and get used for 4 to 6, unless you're in my house, 12 hours a day. They really weren't designed for environments with moisture, environments with dust, environments where they're going to run 24/7. And we think about all the things that go into professional displays, right? It's really important that sometimes we talk our customers out of making bad decisions and buying that consumer display. So, I mean, you obviously see this more than anybody because you're probably dealing with the same problems. How do you tell customers why it's important to buy that better display?
First off, we can back it with a 5-year warranty with white glove service, and that's not something you're going to get from a retailer.
Not without paying a whole lot more, right? That massive, that's super important right there.
I would say because my company distributes quite a lot of different options. Well, not a lot. There's not a lot of different options in outdoor high bright, actually, because you need the brightness. These LG panels are 4,000 nits. So Michael recently brought one to a meeting we had, and we had to turn it around because it was blinding everybody in a standard conference room. But that brightness is really critical, especially when you got, I know you've learned all of this from Michael's presentation, is really critical, especially in really hot areas like down in Florida where you did that shootout. You could sit, they did a shootout between 2 different panels, and one panel ended up with brown spots on it and kind of died. And the LG panel just went on and on and on. And I think a lot of that was because of the cooling you were talking about, right? Right, Michael, where you've got that 1/4-inch glass that's being air circulated through it. So it's cool to the touch. It's not going to be super hot. So a little kid can't run up and bang on it and burn themselves.
Yeah, I need to hire you as my sales rep, and you can just do my own presentation. You were actually paying attention.
I actually listened to you.
I feel for my job now. Like, you can just take over.
No, it's a big difference. I mean, I was thinking, well, if you've got a little kid that's running up to the drive-through and puts their hand on a really hot unit, that's not good. So the LG unit stays cool. Plus, it's bright enough to handle the most intense sunlight, which you don't really think about until you get down somewhere in Arizona or Florida or something like that. And that you need that thing to stay on and keep going. So,
and one of the areas, Nick, that we've really seen some growth on the outdoor is actually the amusement parks, right? So the big amusement parks, and you're going to have wayfinding, you're going to have messaging. But as Jennifer mentioned, I mean, some of these amusement parks in Florida where it gets really humid and really hot, and you have a 5-year-old going up on that thing and then touching that display in the front, I guarantee you they will burn their fingers and their hand. Now you have liability, you have other issues. Ours is actually warm to the touch, not cool, but warm to the touch where you won't burn your hand. So that is another differentiating factor between LG and our competitors.
So what you're saying is yours doesn't double as a hot dog warmer as well. That's important.
More or less.
That's important. Yeah.
Pancake fryer.
All right, we're reaching the bottom of the hour, but I do want to bring in one last piece. And Jennifer, you kind of gave us a really nice segue there, which is talking about Exertis Almo and the service you offer. So I wanted you to talk through a little bit about the importance of having a good logistic partner, because I think that's key. LG's job out there is to build and market the best products for this segment. And our job with Exertis Almo is to get that into the hands of the people who need them. So talk a little bit about what you bring to the table and what Exertis Almo can do.
We are the largest distributor in the U.S. at this point for commercial audio video products. We carry about 150 different manufacturers, and LG is one of our top partners, actually. So, and I'm the LG BDM there. So my job is to work with our sales reps. We have about 150 of them across the country that work with dealers and integrators that go out and install, help customers design their audio video spaces. And in cases like this, where they have a project where they may want to implement an outdoor solution, it's like, how do I do this? What do I need to consider? And it's not just, here's a box, go have a good time. It's our sales reps are really focused on the complete solution. So besides this display that you would need for the drive-through, you may also need some mounts for it, so it's not sitting on the ground. And I know for a fact these outdoor panels, they need a Cat5 cable run to them and things like that. So give you some heads up on that. Working with Exertis Almo as a distribution partner, if you're considering a project, especially with multiple locations, and Michael and I work together, and David as well, on some larger ones out there. But what we can do is help with project management, especially when it comes to product being available when it's needed to roll on a truck out for your deployment. So let's say you have a project for 50 locations. We can not only work with you on when you're going to need that product delivered, and sometimes we deliver to the actual retail locations themselves. And we need to prep those retail people that are receiving the product so that we make sure it's received in good shape. But you're getting all of the components you need to do your installation at one time. So that's one advantage that we have working with Exertis Almo. And also we can hold product, which can cut down on your accounts payable and all kinds of other things, warehouse space, things like that. So that's where we make a really good partner. The other reason that we're a really good partner is that we have a full line of services. So if you have installations that need to occur somewhere else in the country that's not in your geographical area, we have authorized certified LG installers to go out and do that. And it's backed by Almo. We warranty our work. So that's another thing that we can bring a full solution to the table, including content, CAD drawing, installation, and several other communications. We actually work with the big communication carriers out there. So if you need to drop communication lines into those locations, give us a call. We'd be happy to help with that.
We're doing a large project right now with a major QSR brand that's requiring quite a bit of coordination, logistics, and planning. And the team at Exertis Almo is just doing a fantastic job making sure that program runs smoothly. So I wanted to give a shout out to Jennifer and her crew, because without them, we couldn't have large scale deployments.
That's beautiful.
Thank you. I appreciate that, because lots of things people don't consider when they're doing a large rollout in the case of the project David's talking about is that LG doesn't just have, a couple thousand of each unit sitting in their barn either. So we need to work together collaboratively to make sure, you guys say you're going to need this product at this specific time frame to get it out for your install schedule. Well, we'll make sure we have it in our barn ready to go, and it's a much better, it's smoother operation for everybody along the line.
We'll take it.
Awesome. All right. Listen, folks, this has been a great conversation. I thank you all for being here. Big shout out to Jennifer with Exertis Almo, David and Michael from LG. Thank you both for being on the show today. Obviously, if you have more questions, you need more information, reach out to your Exertis Almo sales team member, and they will sure to get you connected up to Jennifer and the team to make sure they can make all your LG dreams come true. Oh, wait, hold on. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Everybody say hi to your moms. Let them know I'm on TV. That's right. All right, we're going to call this episode of the Exertis Almo Pro AV podcast over and out. Thanks all for being here.